Hello, this is Cuckoo. I'm here in Bristol at Elevator Sounds, different venue today, and here with Beep Boop.
Hi, I'm Mono Jack from Beep Boop. I basically squat in the Elevator Sound building, have been for the last 5 years. Kind of started off doing repairs for local people and workshops, but through those experiences and getting to play with tape machines and work on Junos, I started to design my own Eurorack modules. I mean, I was always doing a bit of DIY, and it's a great way to learn about electronics if you're interested. You get to build something, maybe it doesn't work, but then by troubleshooting it and getting it to work, you realise what all these different parts do. So from my experiences with that and getting parts and having all the things around me, I'm able to just build prototypes from ideas when I want. I started working with old tape mechanisms and also modding old tape machines. I just realised that everything out there that we're sold nowadays is absolutely rubbish. The record circuits are broken.
Everything is absolutely rubbish except mine.
No, but in a way like these. So we get these.
Re-grip the microphone here.
But they are. With reel-to-reels, that was the heyday of tape machines, and you did this thing very special where you'd use a high frequency signal and like a carrier and a modulator to linearize the recording process. Nowadays all we get is like almost dictaphone style ones. It'll be a DC offset to help try and linearize the process, but really they'll be grungy, they're only meant for mid-range. So once I realised that, I was kind of like, okay, can I make a better record circuit? Can I use a play? And there's a bit of history with Tom Whitwell doing a magnetophone, like a scratchy head. So I started with that circuit, had a playback, tried making some record circuits and realised, actually, this is really hard. So I worked with some known quantities. I started modifying dictaphones. There's a whole load of other prototypes, which if you check out any of the footage from Machina, you'll see this wall of gutted out tape machines, and every single one seemed to have its own nuance and different kind of character, which was cool, and that's what this should be about. You know, we're not trying to make a clean sampler, we want to make an instrument. So this one is kind of the culmination of my work developing circuits, circuit bending. I was going to do and it will still come out, a 1U kind of tape rack. And that's where I cut my teeth on the circuits, but that made me realise that how much work's gone into doing these mechanisms. You know, they really are beautiful bits of engineering in terms of maintaining tension, pressure on the head, you know, all the mechanics. It's very, very intricate. So
you're telling me you actually built your own mechanics as well?
Yeah.
Oh wow, from the ground up.
Yeah,
so no stock. Oh, cool.
And that's when I realised, well, okay, I've got too many unknown quantities. So I'd use a known quantity, like a dictaphone transport or one taken out of the tape machine, and it allowed me to start developing my record and playback circuits in a way that I could remove one and then try different things. And I've now got to a point where I'm really happy with my record and playback circuits. Admittedly, it's never going to be reel-to-reel quality with this. It was never even meant to be used like this. We have a tiny little tape head here, and also just in general, tapes, everything was kind of made for maximum profit. Like for the best kind of reproduction of sound, we want a wide track, we want a fast tape speed, we want a big head with a large inductance. All these kind of things were brought back to a point where they could sell it to be usable in the vocal mid-range, but everything else is lost. Now that's kind of cool, because then we've effectively got kind of filtering effects. As we change speeds, it becomes more lo-fi and kind of... but I'm at a point now where I think it's a nice balance between able to reproduce audio, but also give a character that enables you to kind of layer up the sounds. But also, as well as tonally, in terms of composition and thinking about how you structure or work with new ideas, it's really taken me new places. So because it's a small loop, at the moment we've just got some really weird mush left over from the demos. Quite often I use this with textural stuff. In all honesty, syncing up, it's like DJing. If we just had a one shot on here, you know, you could get to a point where you could DJ and, you know, beat match. There's a guy called from Goa, had some great conversations over the weekend about the history of tape and DJ, and there seems like was a lot of stuff going on over in Goa with the psytrance scene. So and there's a guy called Digital Darshan, this old boy who just mixes DAT tapes, and he'll go for 9 hours. So it is possible, and it comes back to that thing of actually learning to play an instrument rather than expecting it to do everything for you. So yeah. So we've got some loops going, some mush going round, and because it's a single head tape machine, I've got it going into a delay. You know, we've got the best of both worlds: a single head tape machine with texture, and then we can erase sections from the tape. Yep, and then we could start to record new sounds onto that. The way this one kind of works is, I've thought about it more end of chain. Audio comes in and goes straight through, and we can just grab snippets of it. So I'm going to chuck, I like using my voice a lot with this, and I was doing chanting, like Hadi Rams, some like chanting and Hadi Rams and stuff over the top of it. But we're just going to use something people might be familiar with, a Platts oscillator, because we've got loads of different waveforms in to see what happens. Okay, so our audio's coming down and through, yep, and we're going to now chuck this onto the tape. Just a tone, okay, that's the sound saved. And so we could CV it to go forwards and backwards. We're not going to hear those changes now, but perhaps if we did a pitch sweep, we could have it either ramping up or ramping down, depending on which direction we go. We can start punching gaps in again. So even though the loop is not synced, the way we punch in gaps can be related, and then you can get this kind of slowly evolving kind of Steve Reich thing where things come in and out of phase, but there's kind of structures that are related. So we'll erase a bit more, chuck in a different waveform. So in that example, I erased whilst we're recording. The new voice is mixed in with that little synth. It has erased the synth and taken over. What if we don't erase, we don't engage this? We can start. So it's all there. And depending on the levels and the frequencies, they'll fight with each other to kind of take precedence. And so you get this weird mush. Now slowing that down, chucking it into a delay or reverbs, instant kind of atmospheric fodder for a whole tune. And way I play live, and did with Julia, Mr. Spooner over there, we're going to put out a release soon with Rack Records, a local label run by Steve Davis and Gaz Williams. It's all about spontaneous electronic conversations. So traditionally I'd kind of make a system, as we all did, you know, techno kind of patches, but more and more I've been going towards wanting to use these tape loops, but finding a way to kind of integrate it with modular. So imagine we've got this going, and then a hard kick drum side chaining it all. Yeah. It doesn't matter where the loop is.
What inputs and control do you have over CV?
This one. So I made a couple of nights before. I call it Samsara. So we can move the tape with this. Yeah. We could use a square wave LFO to really pull this like back and forth. You have to excuse me finding cables, but we will do it. I think over here we've got a very, very handy Doepfer module, and we're going to take this bottom LFO here, and I assume this is bipolar, but let's see. There we go. So we can scrub the tape, and so we can actually get tonal stuff out of it if we go quick enough. Just very strange. This is ±5, ±10 will give you better results for scrubbing and scratching. Let's try going a little bit. There you go. And we could change the speed now.
It's working. It's doing such a good job there, working the engine.
Yeah, and I'm so pleased with this. You know, and then we can then drop. And it's this idea of, you know, with modular, twist till happy. We can get some happy accents out of this, and then start to jam with it, and it'll take you somewhere new. I also, in terms of sounds, traditionally my influences are musique concrète. I like the idea of using natural sounds, so chucking stuff like rain or thunder or, you know, natural textural sounds to this really works quite well. We did try, you know, you could do stuff with kick drums, stuff, but I think where it really comes into its own is more tonal, kind of this textural stuff. But
how long is the tape, by the way? It's just
so
what was one round.
Because I like, you know, doofs. I wanted this to go round at least one cycle per, you know, one bar for 160 BPM. So then I can, track it with that, and it becomes a mini loop. And now there's interesting thing. Most people use big long tape loops, and that's the thing for ambient. And Paul Tass always said to me, you don't want to speed it up, you want to slow it down. And I think maybe there's room for that, you know, hyper pop, you know, speedcore, like it's pitched up Japanese female vocals. But also, what about if we had a loop so small that it becomes reverb, and you're actually just getting a couple of waveforms on a cycle? So I'm gonna start after hopefully selling a few of these. There's another going to be an upgraded version with more things on it, like a mute and a switch to take it from this version with my with this record circuit I've put a lot of energy into, but also a switch to take it back to V1, which was what the first one just had this bipolar motor controller, but there was nothing. Your audio signal from modular just went straight to the head. So dirty, so lo-fi. You just got these horribly distorted waveforms. Really interesting for like making a waveform, and these because it was an imperfect recording, you then layer it up with the original, and just very strange. But I want to release a 1U version, but I came to the conclusion that I'm trying to make a circle a square, and I should let a circle be a circle. So I'm going to go back to putting this. There will be a 1U format like this.
So a little longer.
Yeah. But the original, where it was all separate tiles, it would have been, you know, 104 HP. I think if I now take these circuits and start putting them more in a Space Echo style configuration, there's a prototype in my setup, I think that's going to work really nicely. So every single one's going to have its own character and its own advantages and disadvantages, but we were talking, me and Heimbach and Sam in the discussion, what's interesting is it's these imperfections that make working with tape a little bit more of an analogue of actual nature, because even a diamond isn't perfect. Intrinsically there are faults in its structure. Then this is more true to nature. So the artifacts, the clicks, the pops, I mean, even as it goes round the splice, there'll be a little bump. I found I was able to actually get a gate from that by using a comparator. So when life gives you clicks and pops, make gates. Yeah. One guy was joking me, he's like, how far do you take this whole like turning problems into features? I said, well, you know, as long as they're useful with me. I mean, I'm not going to start. I even at some point with these dictaphones, I say to people that the noise in the top end, just put a low pass. You've got a hi-hat ready. Yeah. Open it up. So work with what you've got. Let the thing be its own thing, and enjoy it for its own character, rather than trying to force it to be something else. But
so how do people get their hands on one if they
so
want to?
I'm making these to order. There's some other lots of stuff available through Elevator Sound, but I haven't been able to catch up with this one yet. But these go for $299, and you get one of these micro cassettes with the screws in. They can be a little bit hard to find, so I spent probably a bit too much money and time sourcing them for everyone, but I make one of these for everyone, get 5 loops, and there's a little tutorial video online about making them. And I like the idea, you know, people will kind of, it's a different way. Like, I haven't got it here, but with tape loops when I play live, I've got a big box of these, and this is like my sample stuff. I might write on here, say Carl Jung, Ram Dass, Alan Watts, or whatever, but the sample will change over time. So it becomes like a placeholder, like a vibe thing. It's a really different way of working, and yeah, it might be a little expensive. Maybe people think for what it is, but
no, I think it's quite reasonable. And also, wondering, for how long does it take you to assemble one?
I probably work about a day, maybe 2 on each one.
And you have all the components ready to go?
Yeah. I have to do a lot of calibration with these. Every single one ends up, I end up tuning the circuits a little bit differently. The way you stop this. Everything that makes it better makes something else worse unless you really protect it. And that's why I've got to the point now with this. I'm like, yeah, this is the best I can do with this head, with all the circuits.
But even though it takes you just like 1 or 2 days to assemble it, how long time have you put into this project?
I've been so I first announced this idea, and I call this tape rack. I could do a really clickbaity thing where I'm like, yeah, Mono Jack's getting out of Eurorack, you know, I'm going to do tape rack from now on. But I kind of like this idea of it's a niche within a niche, a subculture within another culture, and putting down this name tape rack, it's the right format. In Eurorack we have filters, we have oscillators, we've got mixers, we've got everything we need to create the periphery circuits. If it's send and returns, if it's a digital delay, if it's a feedback loop, everything is there, ready. So why not? Fully compatible together. So yeah, I'm dropping the name. I haven't got a manifesto yet. It will happen. Yeah, tape rack. It'll be like coffee shop revolution kind of stuff. But yeah, I think I hope people get on board with the idea and can see the merit with this.
And they can order both from Elevator Sounds or from...
my other stuff is all available through Elevator Sound, like we've got this speaker here, which is quite fun. You could also use that as a DIY reverb. It goes to a transducer. All of that is, but unfortunately not these yet. I just need to... I've got 10 more pre-orders to get made, but I make them to order. You'll get a build number, and everyone's made and calibrated by me. And I think I can keep going for a little while. I mean, I only sell a couple of units a week.
So just go to beepbop.com.
Yeah. www.beepboop.com, or head over to my YouTube channel if you're interested in learning about tape loops and the history behind this rather silly invention. Cheers. Thanks for checking out, and also really enjoyed your gig.
Wow, thank you so much.
We had a nice little crowd at the front, and yeah, what did you think of all the hard kick drums this weekend? We go a bit hard here, don't we?
No, there's been a lot of hard kick drums, but my kick drums are more like boopy.
I know. Yeah, you got your thing going on. Did you get to see DMX Crew in the back?
No, I didn't. Well, just a little bit.
So if nothing else, from the that night, and a good representation of kind of what I love about the UK kind of music scene, and how there's so many different genres and people can do their own thing, but there's also this history of just fucking, I don't know. Check out DMX Crew. I really wish you'd been there because we had a proper good stomp on the dance floor. But you're going to come back next year, you think?
I definitely think so. I thoroughly enjoy the Bristronica. Yeah, it's a vibe, and also the whole the whole vibe here in Bristol. There is a vibe. I can commit to this.
Yeah, it's all about the bees. You know, Brighton, Bristol, Berlin. Barcelona. Yeah. There you go. So yeah, peace, love, and patching, and happy experimenting.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks for checking it out, man. Thank you. Cheers.